This is local. We are local. What's up, locals? Today we look at a really interesting product from dgartbyjake.ca. A little bit of a mouthful, but we did it. Yeah, he's doing some really custom stuff like hats. He's doing these custom stamps as well. Fantastic little product. And for someone like myself that's reviewing discs that, I don't want to lose that disc if I'm out testing. Sometimes I'll throw a bunch of discs and then I'll kind of forget stuff out in the field. But when I mark something up, if I try to turn around and sell it, I don't want that disc all inked up and marked up. And that's kind of the beauty of this stamp setup here. What we are using is a custom stamp. You can send him a logo and he can basically recreate that in the form of a stamp. I've got some stays on ink right here. And then after, we're gonna have a quick look as well at their stays on eraser and how effective that works. Very simple ordering process, really quick to just easily message him and get a sense for what the image was you were trying to create. It can be a logo, something like ours, Local Disc Golf in this case, but I also got him to make me a stamp with my PDGA number as well as my phone number, so that it's a very practical stamp. The local stamp is definitely fun and great for the demonstration, and what I'm thinking is I'll probably leave the Local Disc Golf stamp on a disc after we sell it so that people know that it was a disc that was up on the channel. So going forward, this stamp is going to get a lot of use, and I think you'll see be cool if you see these discs kind of circulating around after the fact. Anyway, let's have a look at them. I have two brand new discs, unreleased as of the day of this filming. They might be out by the time this video comes out, but we have the brand new OTB release, the Glow Watt, and the brand new 2024 Glow Orbital. All right, and just as a real quick little preview of these discs, because we did get out and throw them a little bit last night. Beautiful thrower. If you find the glitch a little bit touchy, this could be a great option. The Glow is going to give it that touch of stability. Same thing with this one at a 11.5 -4.1 or 0 -4.1, I think it is. This disc was way more stable than I thought it was going to be. That's very common with Glow, but with a -4, I did think it was going to have a little bit more turn in it. But again, I am not the biggest arm. Okay, that's not why we're here. We're here to look at this situation. So hopefully we've got this working right here. I've got my ink pad here. What he had told me was sometimes it takes a couple of attempts to really get the consistency of the ink right on the disc. So again, I can just be very careful, very intentional here. I can let it just sit down. I think I flubbed it up already, did I? Yep, sure did. And here's the beauty of this. This right here is this Stays On Cleaner. Picked this up, quick little spray, just like that. All I've got is a tiny little bit of paper towel here. And as you can see, just works like magic. And the fact that you have that little bit of forgiveness with this spray, to me makes this kind of like a game changer, because not only do I want to erase maybe my information after I've done a review or after you've tried a disc and you're like, oh man, I'm not really loving that. This is such a good option. But on top of that, if you're trying to go through the process of learning how to put the stamp on, it's a little bit of a learned skill here. Again, I'm just going to kind of touch on my ink pad. And we'll try again here. That I liked a little bit better. A little bit of gentle pressure on each of the corners and edges. Firm down and hold my disc and lift. And that was better. Again, I would say not perfect. I think I'm missing just a touch on the edge there. Could have probably worked my way around that edge just a little bit more. But for the time being, again, this becomes kind of like a bit of a learned skill. Maybe I'll just try one more up the top here. Make sure that I've got it nicely done there. Like this one, pushing, pushing. That looks much more solid, and I actually quite like that one because it did get the whole thing down. Yeah, so these are great. I mean, I don't need two of the logo there. So again, just a little spritz on the logo there, and we can erase this. Very cool. And flip my little paper towel over. We're just gonna give this maybe a little spray on the paper towel. Make sure that we get it off this time nice and clean. And pretty much gone. Just the one remains on there, and hopefully you can see that. Turned out really nicely, very clean, very simple. And again, now people will know, especially in my own community, they'll go, oh, that's Ryan's disc, you know, we know that that's his. And so these are great, very, very simple. And this little combination of this stays on cleaner means you can clean that off. And I think that I know how many times I've seen either in disc golf discussion or other Facebook groups, people talking about, you know, is there a really good way to get a stamp off? Huge thank you to DG Art by Jake for sending this over. I think they are hooking us up with a 10% code at checkout. Use the code WeAreLocal at checkout for 10% off. Really appreciate him. What a great little solution this is. One other thing I forgot to mention in the video was the actual shape of the stamp. He makes these on these square blocks, and he does that intentionally so that when you are putting your stamp to your disc, I'm just gonna flip this over because I don't want to get ink on this disc right now, but essentially what can happen is you can either aim to put this right at the bottom, meaning you can kind of grab an edge here, push down and get that stamp really accurate, or you can do it right into like sort of the top of the disc. But this allows you to apply a little bit of force. If you saw earlier in the video, I kind of struggled there a little bit when I was trying to put it down. And what I was doing was I was just kind of finding a spot and just trying to push it down right into the disc, rather than using these two corner points as like points of contact before applying pressure. What this did was it ensured that each disc got a stamp that was not only positioned in roughly the same spot, but it also meant that I had way fewer inaccuracies or, you know, little slides or whatever when I was putting the stamp on. So huge, like very important point that I forgot to mention in the initial video. But after trying a few loose ones, I reached out to Jake and he basically told me, you know, apply a little bit of pressure into the edge of the disc and use this square shape. The edges of the square will kind of grab a little bit into the plastic, not dig in, but, you know, just enough to apply a little bit of pressure, and that ensures like an accurate stamp sort of time after time. So this ends up being a much more accurate and consistent way to do it, because now the stamp appears on each disc in the same spot, as well as the fact that just the stamp itself goes on in a much more accurate way. And before we wrap this video up, one last thing. You know, I implied at the beginning of this video that, like, you know, that spray, which is essentially like an isopropyl alcohol, would, you know, erase that stamp. And obviously if you're just applying the stamp, that will be a really quick process. And if you go to wipe that off, you'll be able to get most of it off. But the question I had was about the long-term effects of that stamp sinking into the plastic. So I gave it about a month with the stamp on, tried to wipe it off with some isopropyl alcohol, and as you can see, it does get most of it off. But, you know, especially with glow plastic here, anytime you have like a little bit of translucency in the plastic, some of that ink is going to sink into it. So I don't want anyone to think that, like, you know, you can put a stamp on and, like, you know, a month or 2 months later completely erase that stamp. You're going to get most of it off, but you'll never probably get all of it off. Thanks so much for watching. As always, my name is Ryan. This is Local. We are local.